So as I was saying, coding ability. So in the coding section, there will be 1 to 2 problems and the time allocated would be 30 minutes. Overall 36 questions and the time allocated is 90 minutes. We'll also compare the difficulty level of each of the subsections. Let's say to what level that I need to prepare quants in the for TCS, what all chapter do I need to prepare for quants, and similarly verbal and all. So we'll keep on comparing the subsection specific details also. Next is Infosys. The Infosys test pattern consists of verbal aptitude 40 questions which needs to be done in 35 minutes. Reasoning aptitude 15 questions in 25 minutes. Problem solving, which is almost same as quantitative aptitude section because it consists of 3 to 4 questions of data arrangement and the rest of the 7 questions from quantitative aptitude. We also call it a quantitative aptitude section, but Infosys calls it as problem solving section. So it consists of 10 questions which needs to be done in 35 minutes. Overall 65 questions are there and which needs to be done in 95 minutes. Now let's start comparing each sections. So first let's talk about the reasoning aptitude. To what extent do I need to learn reasoning if I compare Infosys versus TCS? Infosys, if I belong to an Infosys campus, then there are 5 chapters that I need to prepare in the reasoning. One is data interpretation, which will have 5 questions there. Data sufficiency 5 questions. Syllogism 5 questions. That also sets the note for the reasoning section. So reasoning section is predictable. I will get 5 questions of DI, 5 questions of data sufficiency and 5 questions of syllogism. As I told you in the last slide, these 15 questions needs to be done in 25 minutes period of time. And I also need to clear the cutoff. Cutoff for both the companies can be roughly said as 60%. In case of TCS, it can go as low as 50% also. Okay, so that's about reasoning aptitude. The other questions are data arrangement 3. This data arrangement 3 questions will appear in the problem solving section of the Infosys. And number series 1 that can also appear. That's not a must. Number series 1 question can also appear in the problem solving section of the Infosys. If I talk about TCS and all these 4 or 5 chapters that I have mentioned for Infosys are of level 3. When I say level 3, that means the difficulty level will be on the higher side. So for me, level 1 is the lowest, level 2 is the medium, and level 3 is the difficult. So if I say about TCS, very limited reasoning questions. What you can get is 1 question of puzzle, and that's not also that I'm very much sure of, and 1 to 2 questions of data arrangement. So reasoning can be absent also in some day in the TCS paper, or there will be very limited reasoning in the TCS paper. Let's talk about the verbal aptitude. If you remember that in the last slide of Infosys test pattern, I said that 40 questions needs to be done in 35 minutes. So Infosys verbal consists of 17 questions of sentence correction, improvement and spotting the errors. It will have theme detection or critical reasoning questions 6, 10 questions of reading comprehension, preposition 5 and jumbled paragraph 2. Infosys verbal section is the toughest of the 3 sections of Infosys. If I compare Infosys reasoning versus Infosys verbal and Infosys problem solving, the most difficult to clear the cutoff would be Infosys verbal. Hence the level 3 is there. So it would be correct to say that if the highest level of verbal is asked in any company, that is in Infosys. Why do they ask so much of verbal aptitude? The basic reason is that the client interaction happens much early in Infosys than any other software company. That's the precise reason that they focus on picking up the candidate who has got good marks in verbal aptitude. TCS will have verbal aptitude, but a very basic level 1 prepositions or phrasal verbs that can appear in TCS paper. I said that 15 questions that you need to crack in 10 minutes period of time. So the level is very basic. So there's a huge difference in the verbal aptitude section if I compare Infosys and TCS. Now let's talk about the quantitative aptitude chapter. So if I'm preparing for TCS, I need to prepare all chapters of quantitative aptitude. Any question from any chapter can appear over here. While in case of Infosys, limited chapter of